Hello, hello. This is the tripod falling. I'm just going to leave it in here tonight. Hello, hello, hello. Did you guys see that? How it went to the side? That's what happens. Hello, hello, hello. Well, sometimes a whole leg will go down. But tonight it's just the camera fell. Anyway, hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? We started off with a technical error. How are you guys doing? Oh my God, I am in a good mood tonight. Although I'm starting to feel a headache forming, and I'm not really sure why. I think it has to do with the fact that I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Obviously, I never do. And that I filmed like 4 back-to-back videos. I just got them done, and I've just been like talking and talking and talking. And been on the phone talking, doing this, doing that. And so now I finally am relaxing. Hi, how are you? So I just made a cup of coffee. This is actually my last of the eggnog K-pods that I have. So this is the last. It's the end. It's the end. It's the last. I don't know why recently I've been so silly when I've gotten on the vlogs. I start off silly, but then by the end, it's like very sad. Typically is what happens. But I don't know if it's just that I'm like kind of like slapstick silly when I get on. I don't know. I've just been in a good mood today. So, but this is the last eggnog K-pod. I mean, I could order more, but I'm not going to. Ah, delicious. I have enough holiday coffee, I think. Well, the Barney's White Christmas, Santa's, whatever it's called, Santa's White Christmas, I think I have like 48 of those. So I have enough holiday coffee, and I have 2 community coffees, and I have something else. I have enough holiday coffee to get me through Christmas and New Year's. So I should be good. But I still like those coffees for the winter time too, because they're more of like, I don't know, they're just a spicier flavor and stuff like that. Okay, let's get into lighting the candles. I brought with me my lighter today. I have my glasses. Oh, should we do a time and temperature check first? Okay. Currently, it is 6:20 p.m. I have no idea what the temperature is outside. It was kind of gray and dark and gloomy, but the temperature has been really nice today. There were people like running in shorts and stuff. And as soon as I get done, I've made an executive decision about my audiobook. So as soon as I get done vlogging and I get it rendered and it starts uploading, I'm going to go for a walk tonight and listen to a Christmas book. We'll get into that in just a second, but I want to share with you what the temperature is. Oh, it's currently 50 and partly cloudy. It feels like it's a little bit warmer than that, actually. What's the temperature supposed to be like tomorrow? But I feel like it's supposed to be a lot colder tomorrow. I don't know why. Nope, 46 and then 33. 23 on Thursday. Very cold. I have a dental appointment early on Wednesday. And then Caroline and I'm assuming we're doing Cousin Fun Day. Because I haven't heard from her. She usually calls me on Tuesdays to let me know if she can still do it or not. Oh, and then it's going to be in the upper 40s through next weekend. This weekend, and then down in the 30s again. Oh, we're like, it shows Monday the 23rd. So, Christmas Eve is on a Tuesday this year? It feels like December has gone really fast. Does it feel like that to you guys at all? Anyway, let me light the candles really quickly. Where should I put my phone? I might want my phone later, so I'll put that over there with my reading glasses while I'm just talking to you guys. So I have this candle that I always light out here. I'm kind of going through these candles, actually. I went through one of the candles. I can't remember what that candle was called. It was the one that I didn't love. And then this candle from our own candle company. This is the trio scent. You can see it's like 3 different scents in here. The scents are pumpkin cream pie, hot buns, and vanilla. And I think it goes in that order. No, the top smells like hot buns. I don't know. So I have this candle. And then the other candle that I had out here, I don't even remember what it's called. It's like the scent was like clean or something. That candle, is all the way done. So I brought the... Did I already do? Now I'm like, did it ever come? I know I got the email about it. The Shy Wolf Candle Company. Have I done my review of that box this month? I don't feel like it's come yet, has it? Huh. I'll have to get online and see. Did I do that review already and I just don't remember it? I don't think I did do the December unboxing, the Shy Wolf Candle Company. But anyway, this is one of the other candles that I got in the subscription box. It's called Portage. And I saved this one because it kind of smells like balsam fir. And it smells like more of a holiday candle. I just trimmed the wick. I almost trimmed it too short, so I hope it catches. It did. There we go. So I have that. I love these Shy Wolf candles. I didn't do that. I would have remembered if I had done that last week. What does it say on here? Okay, it says it was on the 1st. It was getting it ready. So maybe they haven't shipped it yet? No, they were getting it ready on the 1st. Why? I don't know why I felt like I got an email that said that they had already delivered it, but no such luck. So when it comes, I will do... Why do I feel like I've done that one already? It was on the 1st. Well, I guess I could just go over and look at my Peter Does Stuff channel. Why am I having to do this? I can't even remember which videos I make on which channels because I make too many videos. I know I didn't make that video last week. I'm almost positive of it. Okay, hold on a second. Videos. No. That box hasn't come yet. Do you think that's kind of weird that it's the 10th? And it's the December box and it hasn't come yet? It usually comes late, so it's whatever. God, there's so many people walking today. She's got a light on that hangs like down and it's like a necklace and just like lights up her way. Okay, so I made an executive decision about the book. First of all, because I tried really hard last night. I feel like I can't get comfortable in this chair. I don't love sitting on this side. I mean, I sit on this side because the lighting is so much better. But I don't love sitting on this side because the chair is not comfortable. It doesn't really swirl a lot because I broke the chair. I made a couple executive decisions, I guess. So it still swirls, but swivels, but swirls. Swirls and swivels. But not as well as it did before. And it doesn't go back, and it does, but it's like, there's like a screw missing. A screw came out. Don't you hate that when screws just fall out all over the place in the world? Wasn't that in some movie they said that? Screws fall out all over the place or something like that? What movie was that? Anyway, 2 executive decisions I made. Let's just get the painful one out of the way, because I know that people will be like, oh, seriously? Okay, so I decided that I'm not going to call. Caroline got me, she got me one number, and then she's getting me another number of like somebody that can come out here and fix the fireplace. I have all this stuff in front of the fireplace now, the Christmas tree and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to move it, so I'm not calling for the fireplace to be fixed until after the new year. But anyway, but yeah, and then at this point, if it's like, if they come out here in February or March, I don't really care at this point. I just want the fireplace fixed. And then next year, we won't have to mess with this because the fireplace will be fixed and I can start having fires in August and stuff like that. So, you know what I actually was going to do the other night? So, what's wrong with the fireplace is that what we call the flue, I don't know what you guys call it, some people call it the damper, other people call it other things. But anyway, the flue, the last time I lit a fire, which was several years ago, the smoke came out into it was like there was something that was stuck in the you know, the chimney. And so, I don't know what it was. I feel like, I think it's because they taped it off when they painted our houses the last time. But I don't know. So the other day I was like, why don't you just try to light another fire in there and see what happens? Because maybe whatever was up there is cleared out now. So I was thinking about doing that. Wouldn't it be so funny if I like lit a fire and then the fireplace completely worked? And all these years I've been like, oh my god, it would be so nice. Last night I sat there and I read my Christmas books, and finally, like, I was on like the 3rd one, and I was like, oh my god, I haven't even plugged in my Christmas tree. See, it doesn't really matter. Even if the fireplace was fixed, I probably wouldn't make fires in it until it's like really, really cold outside. It does get cold in our house late at night. So I decided, executive decision, that I'm not going to get the fireplace fixed until after Christmas when all this stuff is down. I know, I should have done it 5-6 months ago because I'm so lazy that I didn't do it. I should have done it 5 or 6 months ago. I don't really care, to be honest with you. The reality is, with the Christmas tree and all that stuff up there, I probably wouldn't be building fires in the fireplace right now, because I'd have to move that stuff every single time. But anyway, that's the executive decision number 1. Executive decision number 2 is, I tried so hard to get done with that Paula Hawkins book. I got about I was a little bit over a third of the way through. It's a very confusing book, first of all, especially on Audible, because it jumps from character to character, and then there's diary entries that they're reading as well, like not journal entries, well, I guess, diary entries from this woman that's passed away. And so you're trying to piece it all together. It's very confusing. Tanya told me she didn't like it. I can't remember who else told me they didn't like it. It was another one of my friends. But then I commented, I said that on the video the other day, and a couple of you guys said, yeah, it doesn't really get any better. I'm gonna finish it because it's the book that I picked. I want to read, you know, the Paul Hawkins book because I've read I think I've read all of hers that she has out by now. So I want to read it. But I also don't want to linger and read like a half an hour or listen to a half an hour a day and then be down to like 3 days before Christmas and I haven't listened to any of my Christmas books. So I was like, okay, I made this executive decision last night and I like paused that Audible book and I downloaded the most wonderful crime of the year, which is the Peter's Book Club for December. It's like a Christmas mystery. So I downloaded that one last night. That's gonna be the first one that I read. So I'm starting as of tonight reading the Christmas mysteries and thrillers. And then after Christmas is over, I will finish the Paula Hawkins book. And so the Paula Hawkins review will be, I'll still try to get it up before January 1st. So that's where I'm at. I just don't want to stay stuck in a book that I'm not loving and then miss out on all these Christmas books just because I feel like I have to finish it for the book club. So I'll finish it for the book club. It's weird because I'm so on time for these books. Sometimes I haven't been reviewing some of these books for 2 and 3 months, but I'm like on top of these books now. So that review will hopefully come before the end of the year. So like starting the 26th or 27th, if I'm like finished all the books before Christmas, then I will read that one again and all of that. So yeah, so today's been a good day. Alex got home about 45 minutes ago. He stopped by the mall on the way because his bag that he ordered with all of his gift cards when he was shopping the other day is in. So we got a bag and a wallet. And so he went by to pick that up, and then he just showed it to me. He's real excited. It's a black Versace like messenger bag, and then he got a black Versace wallet to go with it. So he's real excited about it. It's a really nice bag. And he and I last night talked a lot about planning a trip, kind of narrowed it down a little bit, figured some things out. So we talked about that last night. Today has been a good day. I'm not getting a lot of sleep at night. Like during my naps, when I sleep, I know people are like, well, tomorrow night, I won't be able to take a nap because I'm already dreading it, do you see? Because I have to be up at like 6:30 in the morning on Wednesday, which is like when I go to bed, typically. I lay in bed and I'm not asleep by 6:30. I usually head up between like 5 and 5:30. So that is about the time that I'm like going to sleep though. So I have to be up like 6:30 on Wednesday for my dental appointment. And then when I come home, I'll either go back to sleep for an hour or two if Caroline's going to come. I don't even know if we're going to do this week or not. The whole goal of this week was just to do Christmas shopping, and I don't really have a lot of Christmas shopping to do. But I would like to get out of the house and hang out with her for a little bit. So she's down to do something on Wednesday. I'm totally, up for it. So I'll either come back from my dental appointment. It's a deep cleaning that I get done quarterly. So it won't be that bad. I hope. Now I say that and then I'm like, oh my god, it will be super painful, but I don't think it will be. It'll be fine. It's usually about an hour. So I don't remember if it's at 8 or if it's at 9. But either way, I'll be home by like 11. And then she usually picks me up at 1. So it also depends on if like I get up in the morning and take a shower before the dental appointment, or I might take one the night before. But anyway, tomorrow night I'll be going to bed early. Tomorrow night I'm also going to a meeting with Tanya. So I'll do the meeting with Tanya, and then I'll get home, and I'll probably watch a show or two, and then I'm not going to go to bed at midnight, so I'll probably but I probably will go to bed at about 1. God, that only gives me 5.5 hours of sleep. But I want to read my Christmas books. I know you guys are like, why wouldn't you just read them at 11 o'clock? I won't allow myself to read them until midnight. I know it's silly, but I won't, because they're advent calendar books, so I won't let myself read them until midnight. Last night's, the 25 Days, was really good. The other one, Xmas Break, it's kind of a slow journey. Something needs to happen tonight. And last night the chapters were short, too. They were like 7 pages each. Anyway, we'll get to last night in a second. So today, I snoozed my alarm 3 times, but then finally I was just like, okay, get up. So I got up, kind of just hung around, didn't really do a whole lot. And then I was like, okay, what videos am I going to film today? I almost filmed on all of my channels today. My throat, I came out here for my last two. I came out here to film my Peter Does Stuff video. I did a dirty soda. I made a dirty soda over there, a Christmas dirty soda. And then I didn't plan to go into it making a Christmas dirty soda, but that's what it ended up being. So I made a Christmas dirty soda, and then I reviewed these Elf graham maple flavored, it smells like maple. That makes an appearance in the video, a review of the Elf goldfish or whatever. So I did that review out here. And then I was going to do this review of that book that I read, I'll Be Alone for Christmas. And I was going to do a Peter Christmas video. I was like, you know what, just wait till tomorrow or Wednesday. And also, I was like, let people kind of catch up. You know, it's the end of the year. People are really busy right now. You know, like, jobs are winding down, schools. And so I was like, and I might not vlog super long tonight either. So I was like, just let people kind of, like, catch up on stuff. If you start posting, what was that noise? I was like, if you post, like, 6 or 7 videos a day on all your channels, like, 5-6 days a week, then, I mean, people can't possibly. I know some of you will be like, I do. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me, but... So I was like, just stop, and then film the videos the other day. So, yeah, I just kind of like stopped, and then Alex came home, and I was uploading the video. So all those videos are up already. The only video that's not up and published is this vlog, and I'm filming this right now. So, yeah, I just kind of like did stuff around the house. I like cleaned the bedroom up a little bit and threw in some laundry. And then I made the bed and put up the pillows up there, the Christmas pillows. I almost didn't, and then I was like... It's only 2 more weeks. Just do all the Christmas stuff every day for 2 more weeks. Light the Christmas tree, light the candles. I mean, I do light the candles every night. In all honesty, like, I'm glad I put up the Christmas tree. But I think I probably would have been... this is the thing, okay? Now that the Christmas tree's up, I would have been completely fine not putting the Christmas tree up. Emotionally, I would have been completely fine. But had I not put the... I know this is going to sound silly. This is where I just talk about how these are just like stream of consciousness, me thinking out loud. But had I not put the Christmas tree up, I think that it would have depressed me. I would have been like, you didn't put the Christmas tree up. Like, what, you know, like, come on, let's put one foot in front of the other and whatever. But now that the Christmas tree's up, it looks pretty over there. You know, I'm glad that I did it. And I dusted all over there and the buffet tables and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just kind of like... okay, there it is, and I'll take it down on the 26th or 27th or the 2nd or 3rd or whatever. I mean, you know, it is what it is. But it's not like it really changed a whole lot for me. Like, I forgot to even plug it in last night. I was like, okay, the one thing you can do is, like, plug it in while you're reading the Christmas books. But, I mean, I should have come down here today and while I was filming and stuff, plugged it in. But I didn't do that, you know? So, I don't know. I don't, like, usually I would be like, are you getting hardened towards Christmas? Like, are you getting hardened towards holidays because of, like, grieving Boo and stuff like that, which, like, one day is great and the next day is really tough. But I don't feel that way because I'm loving reading the Christmas books at night. And, like, last night I watched Matlock, and it was, like, a Christmas episode, and so that was fun. And I listen to Christmas music. Like, if I'm not filming, I'm listening to Christmas music. And I'm going to start listening to my Christmas book tonight. All that stuff is fun. Honestly, and I know this is something I could do in June or July, but it almost feels more Christmassy. I understand that, like, okay, and when I say this, I get what the real meaning of Christmas is, okay? I also understand the glamorization of Christmas with Santa Claus and all that kind of stuff, right? And I love both, if you want to know the truth. But part of it is that I got sober on the 17th, okay? So I was in treatment over Christmas. Ever since then, Christmas has been a very, and I'm not saying this like in context of I understand Jesus' birth and I'm not trying to offend anybody or anything like that. Christmas has been a very spiritual, reflective holiday for me because I felt very alone that year and I was in treatment. But feeling very alone in treatment, I was also surrounded by a lot of other people that felt very alone and were stuck in treatment, and I felt very safe. And it was a very wintry time that I was there. It was like cold outside. There was a lot of snow. I mean, I can remember looking out the windows and being like, there's nowhere you can go anyway. Like, even if you were at home, where would you know what I mean? And so, at the same time that I felt trapped, I also felt very safe. And so, for me, this time of year, coming up on Christmas, it's very reflective for me. I think I'm probably thinking more back over the last 30 years than... I mean, I've talked about it on the vlog a lot, but when I'm not vlogging and whatever, like Tanya and I have been talking about the last, people we've known and things like that. And something really interesting happened that I'll talk to you about here in just a second from yesterday. But I feel like I've been reflecting back on that first year a lot recently. Not so much like the second and the fourth year, but that first year, I've been thinking a lot about it. Because if you've watched my vlog for a long time, you'll remember that like the 60 days leading up to my sobriety birthday, there were years where it was really hard for me. That I would remember like the desperation and how difficult it is. And then there were years that it didn't affect me at all. Do you remember me talking about that? Where it's just like I didn't think about it at all. I don't really know how to explain like how one year, I don't know. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was what was going on with me that year, but I remember there were some years where there was nothing going on and it felt like I was thinking a lot about that and there were other things. But this year it feels like I've been listening to a lot of speaker leads. I've been really in the literature. I'm like, I just feel very, very grateful for not just my sobriety, but everything that's come as a gift and associated, that's come as a result of it. And when I look at my life, one of the things I was taught in early sobriety was that your sobriety has to be a priority over everything. I say it a lot in like my sobriety videos, that it has to be a priority over everything else. Like you have to put your sobriety first before everything else. Before your marriage, before your family, your friends, before your career. Your sobriety has to come first, because without it, you have nothing else. That is something that I have done, other than the 4 years that I was like not active. I have done that for the past 30 years. I have always prioritized my sobriety. And even those 4 years that I wasn't, I was talking about this the other day. I was never the person that said I don't need to go to meetings and whatever. I just was scared to come back. But I also would read meditations and read literature and stuff. At that time, I was still proud of my sobriety. It meant a lot to me during that time. I don't know how, in retrospect, it's weird looking back on it that I didn't even realize I wasn't doing anything. I mean, it felt like I wasn't doing anything, but I don't know how to explain it more than that. But I think I'm looking back a lot on where I came from. That first year, in all honesty, was rather magical. A lot of magical stuff happened. Somebody commented on me the other day and they said something about the pickle lady. I haven't talked about the pickle lady over here forever. But I'm a big believer that we plant the seed, and the fact that somebody brought up the pickle lady meant a lot to me, that you brought that up. It meant a lot to me. Because my entire sobriety, everything I say, whatever, unless it's something I've personally experienced, it is warm enough that I have no socks on, I just took my plastic sandals off. And then my feet are on the concrete. I didn't think I was going to get into a big sobriety conversation over here, but like I said, this is a lot on my mind right now of what I'm thinking about, And so, but somebody brought up the pickle lady story. I don't even remember what the context was. They said something about, they thought about it the other day. It was in reference to something else. I think it was in my weight loss journey. They commented on it about being a pickle. And once you're a pickle, you can never go back. I'll tell that story in just a second. But that first year was really magical to me. It was every meeting I left, I just felt full of spirit when I left, and so hopeful. And similar to my life now, my life was very small then. I mean, there wasn't a lot that I did. I went to meetings and I made my bed, and I made a pot of coffee, and I read a lot, and I went to meetings, and I hung out with people that, at the clubhouses and stuff like that. And my life was really about sobriety, especially the first couple months. I mean, that was all I did and all I thought about. Therapy, aftercare, meetings, literature, reading literature, making coffee, making my bed, and things like that. I think that's probably where I started. I don't really remember, when I was growing up, my mom was pretty strict about, making your bed, before you leave for the day. But after I got sober, my sponsor, too, was also, I think it was my second sponsor, would come over and just be kind of look around, did you vacuum? Is the bed made and things like that? Because it's kind of the attitude, of that book that I read a couple years ago, Make Your Bed Every Day, or whatever that was called, about that Army general that was the 10 things, lessons in life. And the first one was make your bed. Because if you've made your bed, and I know Alex likes to get into a messy bed, but he loves that I make the bed too. He'll be like, oh, the bed looks so nice. But if you make the bed, at least you've achieved one thing for the day. It's kind of like a starting point. And I still think about those early days where, you know, my sponsor would come over and he'd be like, is your coffee maker cleaned out? You know, did you clean the bathroom up? Did you straighten? Like, you need to do those things. You need to take care and be proud of your space. You know, no matter how small your space is, no matter what it is, if you just have a bunk bed and a table next to it and that's all you have, like, that's your space. Like, you need to be proud of your space. You need to be proud of your days of sobriety. That's why I started marking them on a calendar. And so it was really about me learning, you know, the Karate Kid idea of like wash on, wash off. Like, you're being taught things. I learned about, you know, being proud of myself. I learned, I still struggle with confidence, like I was talking about the other day, but I learned how to be more confident. I learned how to, I just learned a lot that first year, you know. I learned that I don't have to fight every battle, and I don't have to, my voice doesn't have to enter every conversation, you know? I learned that from my sponsor saying to me, shut your mouth and open your ears, because you just need to listen. Sometimes I just need to listen. I still know that today, you know? I learned so much that first year and met so many people, sadly, so many people that went back out there that first year and came back in and went back out there. I mean, I've seen some of these people, some people that I met my first year are still working on, you know, getting a year sober. I hope they do someday, or whatever God intends for them, you know? I can remember years and years and years and years ago, God, 20 years ago, it was my sponsor that passed away. He and I were talking, and I said something about a friend of mine. And I said, you know, I like, I've been praying for God for her to, like, come back in to meetings and stuff. And he goes, how do you know that that's what God wants for her? He said, maybe God wants something else for her. Maybe God wants her to get sober through meetings, or maybe God wants her to get sober some way else, or maybe God does, that's not what's planned for her. You don't know that. You're not God, you know? That was a valuable lesson too, but I liked the smallness. I think maybe it's teaching me to appreciate the smallness of my life now, of getting up, making coffee, you know, filming a few videos, reading some books. Like, somebody said on my vlog last night that they love that I'm getting back into loving books again. Thank you. I'm loving getting back into loving books again too, you know, and looking forward to it every night. But I think it's maybe me reflecting back on that first year and how, I mean, I've had so many great things, so many relationships, traveling, whatever that's happened to me in the last 30 years. But that first year, the smallness of it, of like somebody buying a cheeseburger for me or handing me a cup of styrofoam coffee, like, those moments were super powerful and profound. I mean, I was extremely grateful for those very small moments. I don't know, maybe I'm like reliving it to teach me what a magnificent life I have, you know? In all honesty. I mean, I think that's really probably why I'm looking back on it, is to like shake me and be like, Peter, you have a really amazing life. I mean, I know that, but we all get into self-pity from time to time, right? We all feel sorry for ourselves, and sometimes rightfully so, but I don't want to stay stuck there. But when I look back on the fact that, like, I can just see myself walking in the kitchen. My dad bought me this new coffee maker, and I can remember walking in there and just the process of making a pot of coffee, you know, and then reading my morning meditation. And there was like this process to what I did, and it felt very serene and very peaceful, and I was grateful for it. And I still have a process today. It doesn't necessarily look exactly like that, but I can remember those early days, like that January, February, you know, March, when I first got out, and just being like, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't do everything I was told to do, but I did a lot of it. I did most. Even if I was resistant to it, and not even resistant, just ask why a lot, you know, I would do it. And I just was real excited, you know? I think I was just really excited about life and newness and new things and learning new things and whatever. I had to put my sandals back on. The concrete was getting cold. And so I'm looking back at that first year and being like, I want that again. I want that excitement, that newness. Not just in sobriety, but in everything, you know? I want that. I mean, people joke a lot that, I mean, not really joke, but people will say that a lot of people go back out because they want that feeling that they had when they first got sober. I don't want the cost of what it takes to go out to get that feeling that you first have when you first get sober. When you first get sober, there's an unreal kind of feeling. I mean, it's like literally, like we talk about it, we call it the pink cloud. Like, everything is great. You know, you're having so much fun. You feel so good, whatever, right? Like, I want that pink cloud without having the cost of going back out there and ruining my life. Like, I don't want to do that, obviously. I'm not going to do that. I hope, I mean, for today. But I don't think that I will do that. But that feeling that I had, I want that excitement again about everything in my life. You know, just recently reading again, like somebody was talking about in my blog, I've gotten so excited about reading again and looking up like books that like the James Patterson. The fact that I would get so excited about these James Patterson books, like it's so cheesy to me, but I'm having so much fun with it. You know, it's like that kind of excitement that the camera stopped. Am I really at 30 minutes already? It's that kind of excitement that I've really kind of missed a little bit. You know, where I think that, especially in the last year, I've kind of just gone through this routine every day. You know, and it's like, Alex and I talking about planning a trip last night was really fun because we were kind of like looking at some, you know, places we've never stayed, stuff like that last night. And it's like, I was talking to Tanya about it, and it's weird, you know, like it like reminded me of like Boo's not here, you know, to I don't know. It's weird. Today today I'm doing pretty good. I don't feel too sad about it. When I lay down to go to bed at night, like him not being there is a reminder. That part is hard. Because he was always like right next to me, you know, when I would go to bed, and then when Alex would leave, he would like go over to Alex's pillow, and he would like, and I would like pat his little head, you know, and stuff like that. So when I go to sleep at night, that's always hard. I don't know. I don't think that has anything to do with me falling asleep. I've had problems falling asleep for years, you know. I mean, I've documented them over here. But anyway, yeah, I've just been in my head, but like about my sobriety a lot. But not like in years before, when I would talk about it, I feel like I need to like set back a little bit. Like my lower back is kind of hurting because I'm sitting up at the edge of this pillow. Years before, when I would, like it would be coming up. I mean, I'm literally like a week away tomorrow, right? But years before, when I would be coming up on it, and I had kind of like this dread, and I would look back. You know, I think since then too, like I've done a massive inventory. I've been like heavily involved in therapy. I've done a lot of like inventory, not 12-step inventory, but like, you know, trauma narratives and things like that in therapy. I don't necessarily have the same reaction to my using and stuff back then that I used to, where I would look back at it like with doom and gloom and like the days leading up to it and stuff like that. This year, I feel very spiritually. Well, it's weird that I say this now that I just last week was like, where is God? This is, I mean, honestly, this is probably just something that's come up in just like the last few days that I have felt more spiritually aware. I don't necessarily mean from a God point of view when I say that. I mean more like, I don't really know how to explain it. More like, connected kind of like to the human spirit and the universe. I felt very, very, it's so weird that this has just been a week. I mean, last Tuesday was when I went to the meeting. I'm like in my head thinking about all this stuff. It's like, I don't really know how to explain it. I mean, several things have happened. You know, I was talking about how like I wanted a friend, but like I didn't necessarily want to like meet somebody brand new and like have to build this friendship all over. Then this friend of mine, we reconnect, gets moved back here, and it's like, we talked on the phone for 2 hours last night. It was magical. And it's like, it's weird. It's like, I don't know, maybe I wasn't listening close enough for God. Maybe they're not God things at all. Maybe they're just coincidences. I don't know. I don't question that. I don't have to question that. I know that today things feel right in the world, is how I feel. That's what I mean about being more spiritually connected. And it's not just because things are going my way today and things maybe weren't going my way last Tuesday. Last Tuesday, I felt lost. And I had felt that way for a long time. But in having conversations with friends of mine that are sober, Tanya, you know, other people, I've been talking to a lot of my sober friends about like birthdays and whatever. It's like this year it just feels different to me. I don't know. You know, I don't know that it's about coming up. I don't think it has anything to do. I don't think it has to do with the 30 years, but I think the 30 years has a lot to do with me reflecting back on the first year. And my life looks a lot different today than it did 30 years ago. And not just because I've gotten a lot older, or that I'm a lot grayer, or that I'm married now, or that my mom's gone, or, you know, there's a lot of sad sadness and tragedy that's occurred in the last 30 years. But there's been a lot of really magically amazing things. I've lived a life in 30 years. I think that's the most powerful thing, is like when I had lunch with my dad years ago for my birthday, and I said something to him about like if I had kept on using it and without missing a beat, he said, you'd be dead. You know, I've lived a life in the last 30 years. I don't know that I would have lived much longer the way that I was using, and I don't know that I really realized how bad it was. It's one thing to tell a story in retrospect, looking back on it, and say this is what I was using, this is what I was drinking, but at the time, it was just what I was doing. It wasn't like I was telling a story or keeping track of it. I wasn't telling anybody that story. I wasn't telling anybody how much I was drinking or how much I was using. People knew because they witnessed it, but nobody, I don't think anybody had any exact idea of what it was, or really what those seriously desperate moments looked like, you know? When I would wake up somewhere and have no idea where I was in somebody's bed, and you think I was like running home and telling my friends that? I wasn't. No, I was embarrassed. I was ashamed of those things, you know? Or, I mean, it just, as a blackout drinker, when I was, like, I couldn't remember anything from like 6 o'clock from the night before. You know, then I'd be talking to people on the phone, and there was a point where it was like early with some of those friendships, like a lot of my gay friends, when I came out and was going out, it was like, I was like, do you remember doing this? No. And it was kind of funny, but the longer that I knew them, the stories weren't funny. They weren't funny stories because I didn't remember them. It was scary stories as a blackout drinker. It was terrifying to me, you know? And I think the most terrifying thing was that I thought everybody that drank a lot blacked out. And when I got into treatment, what I realized was that even a lot of alcoholics are not blackout drinkers. You know, a lot of them. A lot of alcoholics have never experienced a blackout in their life. But I was blacking out every time I drank. And during a lot of those blackouts was putting anything into my body, any substance that anybody would give me. I didn't care. I mean, I've shared this for a long time. Like, I think one of the reasons why, I think the main reason I never became a heroin addict is because nobody offered it to me. That's the truth. I also think back on that time, and it's like, it wasn't just about the drugs or the alcohol. It wasn't just about, I had only a few friends that were willing to kind of like deal with it or tolerate it anymore, and those friends kind of used similar to me. It wasn't that I just was so distant from my family, or that I had dropped out of school and I had no idea what I was doing with my future at all. I think the scariest thing that I don't even know that I realized at the time, I don't really think I realized the full impact of it, was that I did not care if I woke up the next day. I've never been a person that's been an option for me in my life. I don't know why. I don't know if it's genetic. Caroline and I have talked about it. She has a similar reaction, but she'll be like, I'm sure at some point I kind of thought about it. I've never in my life, never ever thought like, this is the end. I've never thought that. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about my makeup. When I've talked to everybody else, and there's always been like a moment that they've thought that that could be an option. I've never thought. I don't know if it was my overall fear of death that I always had. But I can remember feeling like it wasn't like a wish for that, but I can remember thinking, I don't really care if I wake up tomorrow or not. What I didn't realize at the time was how profound of a statement that was. I mean, when you get to the point where you're doing absolutely nothing except for surviving to use, which is exactly what I was doing, and having to put a lot of effort into, I mean, I can remember drinking in the shower, eating pills, you know, smoking weed, just to get to the point that when I showed up downtown at my friend's house, that they thought I was completely sober. And at that point, I mean, I had enough in me that would probably knock out the normal person. I mean, on the ground, passed out. And that just was getting me to the point where I was looking sober. And it was all that effort just so that I could go out and, like, within an hour, blacked out and didn't remember the rest of the night, you know? I mean, probably that last, I mean, it was, I can't even tell you. I mean, I still drive by that apartment complex, not apartment complex, it was a building. It's Culture Flats on Meridian, 23rd Meridian, that my friends lived on the third floor apartment. When you go in, it's like there's three apartments on either side, and they lived on the top apartment on the right. It's still there. When I drive by that apartment, I just get weird feelings inside still, because I slept at that apartment so many times. I can remember, like, hopping that fence, like it's a gated parking, like before they were home from the bars, just so I could go upstairs and sleep. Because, you know, I don't know. It's like I look back on my life and it's like, I think that's the scariest thing, is that, first of all, I don't think anybody really had a true picture of what my life looked like. Because I was keeping it hidden from so many people. And I think I think I was so scared as I didn't know what was next, and I didn't really care. And, you know, I wonder how many addicts and alcoholics have passed away feeling exactly like I do. Did. I don't feel like that today, but did. Like, I don't really care if I live or die. Like, you know, it wasn't like they had a wish for it, but they didn't really care either way. And so they were working harder to make one of them more easy. I wonder that. I've had so many friends of mine that have passed away from overdoses. It would have been so easy for me. You know, and I look at that and I think, okay, but since December 17th of 1994, I've lived a life. I've had so many unbelievable trips. I've had so many unbelievable Christmases. 3 wonderful dogs. You know, more than that. But with Alex, you know, my husband, 2 previous great boyfriends, you know, even though it didn't end great. I mean, wonderful guys. My mom got sober. I got to experience 13 years almost with her sober. Caroline and I, our relationship today, I have in-laws that I love. I have a home that I adore. You know, I get to do this every single day. I mean, this is the end part. YouTube, me coming on YouTube has been the end part of this story, right? Like, and so now I'm coming onto a new part of my life, and I'm like, I don't, like, and this is the part that I carry with me, right? Like, I love YouTube, but like, there's been so much, I mean, I had an amazing career, you know, and I worked with people that I loved, and I mean, I've read so many books through the years and seen so many movies that have profoundly, I mean, none of that. Eaten so many foods I would have had or never would have had. And so when I sit and I talk to somebody and it's like, you don't try to convince somebody to get sober. You share your experience, strength, and hope with them. I don't really know how to make that concise. I don't really know. I wish I could show them what 30 years of my life looked like. And there's been a lot of shit that's happened too. There's been a lot of sadness, a lot of tragedy, you know? The accident, my mom passing away, friends of mine passing away, breakups that I've had, you know? Horrific things that have happened in my life. There's been a lot of really good things too, you know? And I've had 30 more years because I got sober. I think had somebody told me that at the time that I got sober, I would have said, I don't care if I have 30 more years. I don't know that I had any idea what that 30 more years. This is feeling very much like a lead right now, just so you know. If you ever want to go to a speaker lead, this is kind of what it feels like, although it's usually a little bit more organized than this. But I don't know that I would have known what that next 30 years would have looked like, because I had no idea what tomorrow looked like, and I was terrified of tomorrow. I had no idea how I was going to support myself. I knew my dad was done. I didn't think I'd ever go back to school. I didn't know how to, you know, I mean, other than dealing drugs, and I wasn't good at that, I didn't know how to support myself. Most of my friends were pretty done with me at that point. I just didn't have any of it figured out. None of it. I didn't know what I was doing. So then I look at that, and then I look at those months past that when somebody buying me a cheeseburger at Perkins was like, oh my God, a cheeseburger? You know? Or having a cup of coffee, you know, at a meeting, somebody coming up to me. Or the pickle lady story. You know, all of that is like really, really powerful. So for those of you that don't know the pickle lady story, let me tell you the pickle lady story. Okay. So it was New Year's Eve, the year I got sober. So it was 1994 going into 1995. And there used to be a huge dance here, a 12-step dance in Indianapolis. It was huge. I don't think it exists anymore. They do several New Year's things in Indianapolis, but they used to have this big dance, and they would have a DJ and a band, and it was huge. And, I mean, one of the things they did was that at midnight, everybody would stand in a circle and say the Lord's Prayer, and then they would hold hands, and then you would count down. They still do this at, like, state banquets and stuff like that, but you would count down from the person that had the most time in the room to the person that had the least time in the room. It was super powerful. And then those people would come together in the center of the circle. It was really powerful. And some of those people only had like a couple hours. So like you go and like it'd be people that had like 4 and 5 hours, you know. So anyway, I wanted to go to this dance so bad. But I wanted to meet a guy at this dance, which is really why I wanted to go to this dance. I don't know why I thought I was going to meet any kind of guy at this dance, but I really wanted to meet this guy. And so I went into my counselor's office and I said, can I have my hairstylist come in here and cut my hair? Because I was looking like Raggedy Ann. I did not look good. And I was like, can I have my hairstylist come in here and cut my hair? And my hairstylist, she loves this story, who is still a good friend of mine today, and she's does something completely different now, but she saved my life. I mean, she absolutely 100% saved my life. Many people saved my life. I think that's where I believe so much in it, the idea of it takes a village, you know. Took a village to raise me. Took a village to get me sober. I really believe that. And yeah, ultimately I did it with God, but it was a lot of people that God put in line for me to plant the seed to help me and stuff. But anyway, I remember going into her office and I was like, I think it was the day before, I don't know, maybe it was the day of, I don't remember, but I can see her sitting in her office there, because her office was here and our group room was on the other side of the hall. And I said, hey, I was like, can I have my hairstylist come in here and cut my hair so that I can so I can look good for the dance tonight? And she was like, just kind of looks confused look, and she goes, no. And she goes, and Princess, she called me Princess, and she goes, and Princess, since you think you're so unique, you can stay back here tonight and not go to the dance. I was like, what? I was so pissed. I was so pissed. So I just stayed back from the New Year's dance. And so the only other way to get out was to go to like a meeting, and there was like this meeting that was happening. I actually ended up going to this meeting forever. It was in Carmel, Indiana. I was in the bottom of this church. It doesn't exist anymore. But so I went to this meeting. Oh, because the way to get out of that was, am I confusing 2 different days? Why do I think, I'm almost positive that was New Year's Eve, but maybe I'm like confusing 2 different days. But no, I think this was all New Year's. So the only way to get out of the hospital to like go get like cigarettes, candy bars, stuff like that. At that time, on the way home, they would stop like at a fast food restaurant, or like, because like if you wanted caffeine to get out, because like they didn't serve any caffeine in the hospital except for in the detox unit, and so like they would stop at a gas station or a fast food place or whatever. And so I was like, I guess I'll go to, they call them outside meetings. So I was like, I guess I'll go to this outside meeting. So I went to this meeting. The weather was so bad that night. And so I go in this meeting. It's in this church basement. You know, the smoke's up to here. Everybody's smoking cigarettes and stuff. There's we would call it real coffee. I still do sometimes say, is it like real coffee or is it decaf? That's what I'll say to people like at meetings. Like, is it real or decaf? Real means regular. And so there's some people out there that are laughing because you guys are probably, I mean, like when we say on paper means like your court order to go to. There's a lot of like recovery language that people use that go to meetings and stuff like that. So, but anyway, I went to this meeting, and it was a speaker meeting, which means that somebody gets up and they show their story. And I sat in the back, and I was in the back. There's all these round tables, and I was in the back, kind of to the left, and or to my right, but like to the speaker's left. And I remember it was this older lady, and she got up there, and she had this big jar of pickles. And I was like, what's going on with the pickles? I was like, are we getting those pickles? I like pickles, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what she was doing with the pickles. I didn't understand. That's why I call her the pickle lady. And so she's telling her whole story. And as she's telling her story, I mean, this woman, like, you talk about living a life. I mean, she has some, like, unbelievable job. And she's passed away. I think somebody told me years ago that she passed away. I shared the story in like a meeting, and somebody was like, I know who you're talking about. She passed away. She was like an attorney. I mean, she was like, she'd moved from city to city. At one point, she was living in like underneath a park bench in like New Orleans. I mean, her story was incredible. And it was crazy. And I was like, that will never happen to me. Like, she had everything and she lost it all because of drinking and drug. Like, that will never happen to me. Well, little did I realize that at 22 years old, I was already where she was at. Like, it was bad. And so at the very end of her lead, she tapped her hand on the pickle jar, and she goes, and that's why I carry this jar of pickles every time that I speak. And I'll never forget, she turned and she looked, like, the whole time she'd, like, been speaking, like, you know, like, just like this. And she turned and she looked, I swear to God, right at me, with her hand on the top of the jar, and she said, Because I used to be a cucumber, but then I got pickled. And once you get pickled, you can never go back. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, and then she kind of like turned back around. I was like, I mean, she said it right to me. It was so weird. I did not know this woman. I mean, it was the weirdest thing. And I was like, oh my God, like I had tried it so many different ways on my own before. And I was like, I can't do this. Like this is, I have to do what people are telling me. I have to change things. I need help. Like I was a cucumber and I got pickled. So no matter how many different ways I try to do it my way or do it a different way or drink just a little or drink wine or drink beer or do this or do that or just smoke weed or whatever, I'm a pickle. I'm never going to go back to being a cucumber again. And it so hit me so hard. And we were driving back, and it's snowing outside, and it's bad weather and whatever. And on the radio, he had, like, National Public Radio, and was talking about, like, horrible shit that was going on in the rest of the world. And I don't know how I remember that. It was, like, in the back of the van. And me and these other guys, and he was like, do you want us to stop? Like, and we were driving, like, through where Castleton is at in Indianapolis, and they have, like, fast, I mean, it's, like, I think Wendy's just closed down, but it was like Wendy's, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King. I mean, it's like, you know, Kentucky Fried Chicken. I mean, it's all these different restaurants. He was like, do you guys want me to stop anywhere, gas station or whatever? I just remember thinking about all this stuff that was going on in the world, and I thought to myself, but for the grace of God, that's not your life because you weren't born there. And you are literally squandering your life. Like, you're just like, my dad had said to me, like, you know, in a family group session, you're pissing your life away and you don't even realize it. And I think, like, everything came to me full circle. So that night we got back, I don't know why I'm getting, like, real emotional about this. So that night when we got back, my friend had brought me, like, all these Michael Crichton books. And so I was, like, reading all these Michael Crichton books. I read, like, Disclosure and Sphere and, you know, what's the movie, the one, the Jurassic Park. I read all of the Michael Crichton books. And so, I went in the lounge, and they were watching, like, the ball drop and stuff when midnight happened. And I just was pissed. I just was, like, I was grateful, but I was pissed. And I, like, I don't know. I just was, like, what's going on with your life? And it was like a really, like, come to Jesus moment for me. Like, I literally was at a crossroads in my life. Like, I was like, you're either going to destroy your life. I mean, I talked to my old roommate about, you know, moving to LA and just, like, disappearing. Not letting anybody know where we were and stuff like that. And then my dad talked to her, and she was like, I didn't realize, like, and she and I drank together a lot. And she was like, I didn't, and used other things. She was like, I didn't this is my roommate that lives in Berlin now. And she was like, I didn't realize until I talked to her dad how bad it really was. She's like, I can't be part of this anymore. And that had happened before all this. So I got done, and I was done with all my books. I had nothing else to read. I remember I went out there to the counter. I ended up working with this guy for years. He's since passed away. He's an amazing man. And I remember I said to him, and I mean, like, okay, you know, I'm, like, socially anxious. I'm, like, very, like, shy person. So I went up there and I was like, hey, do you guys have any, like, books back there for me to read? And I'll never forget, he, like, threw down the basic text. And he was like, why don't you try the first 164 pages of this? And I was like, how rude. The first 164 pages are, like, the manual of the basic text. So I went into the cafeteria. They didn't get back from, like, the dance until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that. But anyway, so I went in the cafeteria, and they would always at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, they would put out like, or midnight, I don't know when, but they would put out like lunch meat and bread, and you can make as many sandwiches as you want. They put out like chocolate chip cookies and all this stuff, that like chips that you could take. So I made this sandwich, and these sandwiches, got a little bag of chips and like some milk, and I went into the cafeteria where we all sat, and I turned on the lights. It was like snowing really hard, and on the windows around there were all of the phrases, like they had them all spray painted, like, one day at a time, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always got, which is probably my favorite slogan, and like, keep it simple, stupid, you know, and all these slogans that kept me sober for my first year. And I remember I sat down and I was so pissed. And I started reading, the 164 pages, and I finished them all that night. Like, I went in and out with smoking cigarettes, like outside, you know, in the snow, and it was such a spiritual moment for me. It was such a spiritual moment for me. And I read the 164 pages, I wish I brought this out here. If I knew I was going to talk about all this tonight, I would have brought it out here. But somebody years ago, we have it in our bathroom, and I still love it to this day. I want to hang it somewhere in the house after we get it redone. But somebody years ago, let me see if I can find this, first of all, that I wanted to show you guys. I don't even know where I haven't looked on this app forever. Let's look up sobriety. No. Countdown. Where is, like, I don't know how to do this. Let me look up through my apps really quick. I think it just says like 12 step on here or something. I don't even know the last time that I opened this thing. Hold on a second. There it is. I just pulled it up, 12 step. Okay. So right now I've been sober 29.97 years. So it says it on here. 359.74 months. 10,951 days. 817 hours. Wow. So, where is it at? Here it is. So years ago, I shared about, when I give a lead, I always read this last part, because when I read this last part on New Year's Eve going into New Year's Day, it so profoundly impacted me. And somebody needle pointed me or cross-stitched the entire thing and then put my sobriety birthday and my birthday at the top. And I love this so much. And it says in here, abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. And I remember reading that, and I was like, I have no idea what happy destiny is or what the road of happy destiny is, but I know that I'm not on it, and I know that I want it. And I'm like so unhappy, and I'm so miserable in my life, but I know that I want that, you know? And like everything changed for me in that moment. Like everything in that moment, just reading that what I just read to you, like everything changed for me. I don't even know if the rest of the 163 pages, like anything stood out for me, but I know that in that moment when I read that, I was like, I don't know what happy destiny is or what the road of happy destiny is, but I want that. I want what other people have. I see people in meetings, coming into work here in a treatment facility, laughing, and they're happy, joyous, and free, and maybe they have simple lives, you know, but I want that. Like, I'm so tired of, like, constantly, like, just being worried and afraid all the time, you know, and where's the next thing going to come from, the next drink, the next, you know, all this, and trying not to have people worry about it. It was so much work, you know, and I was so tired, and we talk about being sick and tired and being sick and tired. I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just was tired. I was exhausted. And so when I read that, I think it was like, all of a sudden, like, visually, I literally saw, like, this road of happy destiny open. And I was like, there are people there that are already on this road to happy destiny, which is sobriety. Like, you can have it. And that was where, after that, I heard, like, if people have what you want, do what they do, kind of thing. And I have funny stories about that. But, you know, I look back on that, and I look back on that night, and that was a very spiritual time for me. I don't even know that had anything to do with God. That had to do with my spirit, of my world, you know? I'm sure it had everything to do with God, but I'm saying in that moment it didn't feel like that. So when I talk about this being like a spiritual moment for me, to look back at where I was, and that I didn't care if I lived or died, and as a result of reading those lines, and wanting that happen, I didn't even know that I wanted sobriety. I didn't even know that I don't even think I knew what that meant. Like, you know, they show these shows and we see people come in and it's like we expect them right away to understand it. I don't even know that I knew what that meant. I don't even think I had any conception of what sobriety looked like, what it meant. All I knew was that me drinking and using drugs was destroying my life. I had no idea what was behind it, the thoughts, the trauma. We weren't anywhere near all that. All I knew was I was miserable and I didn't want to feel miserable anymore. And that was enough for me. And 30 years later, I don't feel like that. And so when I read it and I cry, it's because that saved my life. That idea that I don't have to be miserable anymore. That there's something else out there for me. Like, that was, to read that and realize that. And then to look back on my life and think about my wedding day, and I mean, I can see my mom laughing in my head, and I can see, like, right now, just Boo Radley and the dogs running around the backyard, and Tanya and I driving around. It's just all these amazing moments that I've had in my life, you know? Getting on here and filming every single night and talking to you guys and sharing all this. The camera stopped. Getting on here every single night and, like, sharing parts of my life with you. It's just, like, it's the coolest thing, you know? I never knew when I got sober that YouTube was even going to be invented, let alone that I was going to have 7 channels, even one, or that I would get on here. Who I am today is not who I was when I got sober. Peter Monn, sober for probably my first 10 or 15 years, would never, you know, have gotten on a video, like, and shared anything about my opinion, let alone stories about my life. I was an introverted person with social anxiety, you know? My sobriety has given me so much. I'm forever grateful for it. I don't even know how I got into all that. So, it's weird this year coming up on 30, because I can't just simplify it to, like, that's the word I was looking for when I said concise down earlier, but I can't just simplify it to gratitude or whatever. That's a huge part of it. Or my interactions with a higher power, which I feel now more. I was just telling Tanya this last night. It's like, I think I had to come to this really low point to start feeling anything again. And then just in the last week, it's been like, I've been given, like, message after, I felt like they were messages. I don't know, maybe they're not, you know? But I feel hopeful. I feel happy. And, I'm really grateful for this life that I've been given. And that's not just about a marriage or a house or a career on YouTube, or it's all of it together. It's all the people that I've met, you know, all the people that I've spent time with. It's all the dinner, all the laughter, all the tears. It's all of it, you know? I'm incredibly grateful for all of it. It's been a journey. It's been a journey. And it's not the end. And it's not the end. And speaking of my cup, this is the cup that I was talking about the other day, okay? So I don't know how to explain this, because if I link this, people have asked me to link it. If I link it, it'll link to this one, 1994, okay? So what you do is, if you put on Google, sober since whatever year you want, okay, coffee cup, it'll pull this up. It'll actually pull up 4 different versions of it. It's like black and white, but like one of them has like a coffee cup and it has like cursive writing, but it'll come up with this one. You can get this in any year. I don't know how to link it because it'll link it right to this. So it's just easier to Google search it, but I love this mug. It's so weird, like when I got this, and I've gotten more, like, in the last couple years, like, sober t-shirts, sober hoodies, and stuff like that. And I've kind of stepped into that. That's something that I probably wouldn't. I mean, it wasn't that I wasn't proud of it. It's just more of that's become available in the last couple years. And it's really cool, you know? Like, when I wear, like, my sober hoodies out and sober t-shirts, and people will be like, oh, I am too, you know? It's, like, really cool. And I love that so much. So, but I love this cup so much. I drink tea and coffee out of here. Late at night, I drink, like, my herb tea and stuff like that one. Yeah, so... Well, that went into a whole other direction than I thought it was going to, so I'm going to get off here now. And I'm going to get this vlog up and figure out what I'm going to do. Walk for a little bit, listen to my Christmas book. And then, yeah, and then I'm going to watch my shows tonight. I got therapy tomorrow at 1. So I got therapy tomorrow, and then film some videos tomorrow. And then, I don't know that I'll film a bunch tomorrow because I'm going to the meeting, and I just want to kind of, like... You know, my goal was to, like, just, like, take December by storm and film a bunch of videos. But, like, now that I'm in December, I'm kind of like, I'm just going to take it, like I said, day by day. I'm having to learn, like, a bug just went up. That was crazy that a bug just went up in December. It's crazy to think that this idea of, like, taking it day by day and, like, when I wake up tomorrow, like, how much do I want to film? Or, like, I'm filming today and I'm like, I'm going to film 7 videos. And I'm like, no, just stop. Like, I'm learning how to do that. I'm not good at that at all. I'm kind of all in or all out. Like, I'm kind of learning how to do that. So, I don't know. We'll just kind of see how I feel when I wake up tomorrow, you know? But tonight, I watched Matlock last night, so I'm gonna watch Elsbeth tonight, and then I'm caught up with the shows. We watched House of Villains last night, and yeah, I'm just gonna catch up on the shows and relax, and this is good to talk about this tonight. I love talking about sobriety. You know, if you're on the fence about it and you're really thinking about it, like, I just can't even imagine my life today. In a million years, I can't imagine my life if I wasn't sober at all. I don't even know. I probably, like my dad said, I probably wouldn't even be here. You know, I can't even imagine my life if I wasn't sober. I can't, you know, I've kind of played it through sometimes in my life. Like, what if I was still drinking? Would I be like a bartender, or would I work in a bar? Like, what would I do? Like, would I just wait till I couldn't wait to get off work so I could go drink again? I mean, I don't know what my life would look like. I know I don't think I would have ever aged out of it or just been like, I'm done with this, it's a phase of my life. I've been doing it since I was 12. By the time I was 22, I had longer drinking careers than a lot of people, you know? And then drugs on top of that. I think the drugs would have got harder and harder. They were already pretty bad. I think they would have got harder and harder. And, you know, other things came along. Since I got sober, crystal meth has come along. I think I probably would have ended up using heroin or something like that at the end. I think, like, not so much today. I think we do still stigmatize certain kinds of drugs. Like, if you use this drug, well, then you're a worse addict or you're a dirtier person than that. I don't look at it that way at all. I never have. But I was also taught very early on in sobriety that a drug is a drug is a drug, and they can all take you to the same place, you know? There's no hierarchy, and there's no stigma. You know, I love the poster that says, like, this is what an addict looks like, and it has pictures of, like, a grandma, and then, like, you know, a 20-year-old kid, and then, like, a dad, and then, like, a mom. I mean, it's like, that's what addiction looks like. That's what sobriety looks like, too, you know? Sobriety looks like that too. It doesn't have a face to it, you know? It's a million different backgrounds, a million different families, no families. So anybody can be affected by it. But if you're sitting there and you're on the fence and you're watching this and you're thinking, this is something I've been thinking about for a while, try it. Your life can only improve, you know? And like we say, we'll, you know, in recovery, we'll happily refund your misery. If you don't want to do it, you can go back out again, you know? And that's what I was told when I got sober. If you don't want to stick around, you don't have to stick around. Nobody's going to force you to. You know, it's interesting because a lot of people will say, like, 12-step programs are cults. If you don't want to do a 12-step program, go to your doctor and ask them for, like, MAP programs and therapists and things like that, you know, or look it up online. But it's interesting to me that, like, I'll see online a lot about, like, 12-step programs being, like, cultish, which when I first got sober, I probably would have agreed with and been like, before I gave it a chance, and been like, yeah, it's cultish. But is it though? Because I've never been begged to stay. Like, nobody in a meeting has ever been like, please don't leave, please stay, please believe what we believe. I've never had anybody say that, you know? I've actually had people say, go if you want to go, and you don't have to believe what we believe. I've never heard of a cult like that before, but that's just my experience. Maybe in Indiana it's different, but I don't think it is. I've been to meetings, you know, other places as well, so I don't know. But if you're on the fence about it, there's millions of different ways to get sober. You can get sober through church, you can get sober through therapy. There's MAP programs, which are medically assisted treatment out there. You know, consult a doctor, get online, read about some of them, find something that works for you. There's a lot of different ways out there, but maybe this is the gift to give yourself for a new year. I'm grateful that I gave it to myself. I'm grateful that I gave it to myself. All right, so I'm going to get off here now before I get real emotional and all that kind of stuff, and we can't handle all that. But tonight was good for me. I like looking back and remembering, so thank you for giving me a place to do that. And, all right, I'm getting off here. Hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Monday, and if nobody else has told you this today, I love you guys. And I will, oh, you know what I just remembered? I'm going to have to, like, get everything done before I get ready to go to Tawny Jean's tomorrow night for the meeting, so it might be a little bit of a well, we'll see. It just depends. Maybe I'll just vlog tomorrow, or maybe I'll end up filming 7 videos tomorrow. We don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off here now. I love you guys. If nobody else has told you this today, I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you.